Those people are my hope. These career folks, I was a career guy. I started my first job out of law school was at the Department of Justice. I was just a line lawyer for 12 years. We used to call the political appointees tourists. You know, the tourists come and go, but we career people are the ones who actually ran the department. And my hope is that they'll stay focused, that they will remain in place, and that they'll fight for the kinds of things that brought them to the Justice Department. You know, the notion of making the country better, making the country more fair, and having a more equitable system. I mean, that's what motivated me to want to join the Justice Department and what kept me there as long as I did. And I think there are lots of people who are still there who will be still committed to those kinds of ideals.
I'm sure you have thoughts about the future of voting rights. What are they?
There's no question that the right to vote is under siege. We're putting in place, the administration is putting in place, and to be fair, this happened before this administration took office, unnecessary barriers to people casting ballots, these new voter ID laws, the question of gerrymandering. These are all the kinds of things that are taking what really defines us as a nation, the right to cast a vote, taking that away from people for unnecessary reasons, and allowing politicians to pick their voters as opposed to having citizens pick their representatives. Our system is in tension right now, and there's an important Supreme Court case that will be argued this term that will deal with the whole question of political gerrymandering. Then we also have to go state by state, where you have these, as I said, unnecessary voter ID laws that are supposed to combat voter fraud that has been shown to be virtually non-existent and is really just a political attempt to keep in power a party that I think whose ideology is out of touch with an evolving 21st century America. So we have to fight. John Lewis says what we have to do is get into good trouble.
Does this period of time right now in voting rights remind you of any other period of time in history, or do you think that it's singular, unique?
I don't think it's singular. I think it's cyclical. I think that we certainly saw after the Civil War, as after the newly freed slaves gained political power, measures were put in place to suppress that power. With the rise of the Obama coalition, I think we now see an attempt to suppress the power of that coalition. The problem is that coalition is pretty broad range. It's pretty encompassing. It is really the America of the 21st century, and that's why I think ultimately it will fail. But there'll be a battle. It will be a fight to push back on these restrictive voting laws, these unnecessary and antiquated, criminal justice policies. I think ultimately, the coalition will assert itself and will win, but it won't be without great effort.